to start off with, we're going to begin quite close to the ground. Hang your yogi gym. What I usually like to do is bring it to the body parts, to the height that I want. Here I want it just around mid shin, above the ankle, and then I'm going to walk up to the rope and attach it just above the knots that are closest to me. Handles can also be the same distance from the floor, the lower handles. And have a little seat. Bring your arms through. And you're going to take your long handles, place them between your knees, have the shorter handles to the outside, and gather the foam and fabric. This is very important, to place it below your lumbar spine, just behind the hip points, where there's nothing digging into your back. And then begin to ease yourself back slowly onto your shoulders, coming into a comfortable bridge pose. So this is known as supported bridge. It is a kind of inversion, because inversion, the definition of inversion that I go by, is whenever your head is below your heart. So it's already some blood, oxygen-rich blood is floating towards the brain, and you can get a nice stretch here. You can extend your legs for a deeper curve in your spine and a deeper stretch here, or you can plant your feet underneath your knees and even try maybe lifting your hips out a little bit to fire up those thigh muscles. And then when you're ready, we're going to practice our first inversion. This is learning how to wrap your legs, just how you would do when you're in a suspended inversion. We're going to come into a diamond wrap. So you're going to open your legs wide, bring your calves in front, soles of the feet gently touching. Make sure that the thighs are nicely covered. This helps to take weight, distributes the weight, and takes pressure off of your body. And you can just, this is so comfortable, you can just rest here for a long period of time. And if you want to, you can introduce some gentle movements side to side. So this is a great way to start practicing coming into an inversion, practicing your technique until you're comfortable and you feel you've got it down before you're ready to come into a full suspended inversion. A really nice pose for deep relaxation and meditation is the lotus cocoon pose, or floating lotus, I like to call it. So open up the fabric between your legs, spreading it like a kind of a big diaper. Snuggle yourself in, and then press that fabric away from you so you can slip one leg at a time in front of you. And to ensure that your spine is nice and straight, take a hold of the material in front of you and pull down to reposition your spine. Open up the material to give some nice weight distribution here for your legs. Snuggle your shoulders in. And closing your eyes, draw your awareness on your breath. And just float here for a few moments. Feeling the gentle sway of the sling is really soothing and calming to the nervous system. Now, if you find this too much for your joints, if your knees are complaining or your hips are complaining, we have a modification here that you can do. Instead of folding your legs in, you will keep your legs out and use the handles in front of you, by simply, once again, moving the handle grip aside and placing your feet so that the soles are touching. The soles of the feet are touching and your knees can open up here. And this is a very comfortable version, far more easier on stiff joints. One of the most delicious things to perform on the yogi gym are some really great deep forward bends and downward dog, which we're going to try here. So your fabric setting would be at mid-thigh, halfway between the upper crease and your knee, and take the foam and bring it close to you and snuggle it just across the top of your thigh, just below the crease, below the hip points, and create a little tension by walking forward until you feel resistance. And then with a nice long spine, fold yourself over the fabric so it catches beneath your hip points and snuggles into the crease in your leg. Once again, take your elbows and just release the crown of the head down. Relax the neck and shoulders and stay here for a few breaths. If the stretch is a little too intense for you, you can try bending your knees a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Breathe deep into the lower back. We want to make sure that we feel a really good stretch, but we don't want to feel any joint pain. So if there's any sharp pain in your back, please come out of this pose and move on to another one. Now, stepping into a downward dog, place your fingertips on the floor and take one foot at a time and come onto the mounds of your feet. Coming high onto your tippy toes, plant your feet a little bit further, your hands rather, a little bit further in front. And now drop down into your heels for a nice open down dog, feeling that traction on your spine. Relax your neck. Take some nice deep breaths here. The beauty of performing a down dog with the yogi gym is that there's absolutely no pressure on your wrists. You can just use your hands to pull the floor or push it away from you to intensify your stretch, but you don't have to bear any weight in your hands. If you're ready for a deeper stretch, you can begin to walk back until you feel your feet growing light. And to avoid a lot of intense pressure on your thigh, try to get your feet up a little bit higher than your hips. And walk your hands further back. Open your legs wide to the ceiling and stretch your chest to the back wall. Coming into skyward dog. And now drawing forward again. We can perform what's known as crow by bending at the elbow. Bring your toes together and perch your knees above your elbows, looking to the floor. Coming into an arm balancing pose here. After 3 to 5 breaths, take a little break. Come onto your forearms and relax your hips. Coming into what's known as dolphin pose. And now we're going to come airborne again by finding our lower handles, taking them into your hands, gently push yourself up from the floor, float up your legs, reach forward into a flying pose. We call this bird pose. Floating side to side. And you can perform some snow angels here. This is really great for the glutes and shoulders as well. And when you're ready to come out, just find the floor with your toes. Begin to walk yourself forward until your feet are flat on the floor. Hold on to your yogi gym and come up with a nice straight spine. Now, as a counter movement for all of the forward bending we've been doing, it's a good time actually to throw in some back bending. With the yogi gym, you have a lot of support. So just slide yourself back in. This time, slip your feet on top of the handle grips. And you can slip your knees in between the 2 strips of fabric here to keep them in alignment. You'd like to secure that foam again and take your middle handles. And you can control how deep you want to go by pulling against your handles, lifting your chests towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders back. And to advance this pose, if you like, you can place your hands on the floor. And move it any way that feels good for your body. If you're feeling brave, you can even try reaching behind you, either taking hold of the strap or the ankles, coming into a bow pose, looking towards the floor. Breathe into your chest. Stop anywhere along the way that you want. Don't feel you need to go this deep. And when you're ready to come out, extend your legs, reach high, draw first your head up and then the rest of your body. And we'll take our hands and draw them down the straps in front to introduce a gentle forward fold to release the lower back. And coming back up. That's your back bend. We're now going to perform a full suspended inversion. In order to do that, you want to raise your yogi gym up on the ropes to about the height of your upper crease in your thigh. You don't need to go much higher than that. And then to get into the yogi gym, just open up the material, unbunch it, separate it a little bit wider than your hips, tuck your elbows inside, and pushing down against the fabric, just slide in, nice and easy. Bring your arms around the back. Now we want to make sure that the handles don't get trapped when we come back into our wrap. So take your longer handles and place them between your knees, and take the middle and upper handles and bring them to the outside. The next step is to gather up all of the fabric and foam and rest it against your sacrum, just below the lumbar area where your pant line is, right behind your hip points. So in order to prevent the fabric from displacing, put some of your body weight into it, and then you can begin to adjust your hands a little bit higher for a firmer grip. Then you want to invert, dipping your shoulders down, opening your legs wide, and wrapping your calves around the front of the yogi gym. Letting go in the beginning might feel a little scary, so take it slow. Just ease yourself down. And you're going to feel a little strange maybe in the beginning. I'm sure I'm looking pretty red in the face right now. A lot of blood is rushing to my head, but rest assured this is temporary. In a few moments my natural color will return. But in the meantime, if you find the pressure disconcerting, you can take your palms and just push up into the crown of your head, and that will alleviate some of that discomfort. But like I said, this won't last very long. In the meantime, just try to take a hold of your elbows and close your eyes and just enjoy the stretch. Breathe deep into your lower back and release the lower back on your exhale. And just go up your spine like that, breathing in, letting go, let yourself grow heavy, and just enjoy the decompression of your vertebrae. Then after a little bit, when you're starting to feel more normalized, you can begin to introduce some movement. I like to start with my head, make some head circles. And you can make some torso circles as well to focus on releasing the lower back. The stretch I really love is going deeper into my chest by walking back a bit, rooting my hands firmly, and letting my chest pull forward, pushing off the floor. This is super, super yummy stretch. Now notice the soles of my feet are just resting lightly together. I'm not hooking my feet around the fabric. There's absolutely no need to do that. This doesn't keep you in the sling. It's the bend in your legs that keeps you in the sling. And you may notice that there's a little bit of a twist that occurs in my knee when I hook my feet. And this can trigger inflammation if you've had previous knee injuries. So we want to avoid that. There's no need. As you can see, I'm hanging very safely and soundly and securely with just my knees bent. So now I'm feeling a little bit more adjusted, so I'm going to add bigger movements. You can twist, you can clasp your hands behind you for a nice shoulder stretch. And of course, everybody would love to try some abdominal crunches here, right? Wouldn't you? So you can place your hands behind your head or across your chest and just look up towards your feet. And then now look down towards the floor to add full range of movement in your spine, flexing and extending. You can also do this side to side, working those oblique muscles. And then after you've been down here for a little while, it's time to come back up. We don't recommend that you stay down too long your first time, maybe 90 seconds, no longer than 3 minutes. You're going to reach up for the middle handles that are hanging between your legs here. If you can't find them, then just take a hold of the fabric behind your knees. You're going to unwrap your legs, draw yourself up slowly, and let your head fall forward for a few breaths before you slip out of your yogi gym. We're going to look at some aerial poses that you can perform, and we're going to work again at the nice height setting, the upper thigh setting, the same that you use for suspended inversions. Getting in the same way, elbows inside, ease yourself in. We're going to take your longer handles and move that black handle grip aside and open up the fabric so that you can slip it on top of your heel, creating a little bit of a heel sling. And we'll do that on both sides. And these fabric adjusters, you can just bring those down to just above knee height for now. Reaching for your upper handles, lift yourself up a little bit and just squiggle with your hips and slide yourself back until you feel the fabric wrapping around your rib cage in your thoracic area. There you go. And this is great for a lovely little stretch here, supporting your head. You can drop your head back and just have a lovely stretch. You can introduce gentle movement. And coming back up again, reach for your handle straps, pull them towards you and kick into your heels, coming into what's known as Dandasana, staff pose. This is a good hamstring stretch. Really drop your hip bones here. And if you like, you can come into Upavista Konasana, which is a spread angle stretch, and just really pull the legs apart here. You can throw in a few abdominal crunches if you like by pulling the elbows into the rib cage, picking up the hips and dropping the ribs. So think of sucking your belly button back to your spine here. And the slower you go, the more effective it is. And you can perform as many as you like. And one of my favorites for opening up those tight hips is to come into what's known as Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Just bringing the soles of your feet together here and relaxing and letting gravity gently stretch out those thighs. If you feel yourself slipping and that you feel that the yogi gym is cutting under your arms, you can make a little adjustment and bring the fabric a little bit lower, or you can rest your elbows against the fabric, keep it nice and taut to eliminate any slippage and keep the fabric away from your armpits. Now, let's see if you recognize this pose. We're going to come into what's known as the Flying Yogi pose. This is a lovely stretch along the right side. Opens up the hip flexors on the right leg. And we'll perform the same on the other side. For a beautiful stretch. And when you're ready to come out of it, draw your knees in, take a hold of the sling, shift your weight forward on top of your feet, lift yourself up a little bit, hug the fabric close, and come back sitting in your yogi gym. And saving the best for last, we're going to finish our practice today with Shavasana, cocoon pose. Remove the long handles from between your legs and take your middle handles and bring them inside the fabric and place them in one hand. And then with your free hand, reach behind, open up the material and ease back. And then separating your handles, you're going to slip your feet through them, resting your heels on the foam grips. Release your hands behind you. You can also cross them in front of your chest if you like. And you can lie here perfectly still, or you can introduce some gentle movement to lull yourself into a very deep, relaxed, peaceful rest. Well, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed some of the poses that I showed you, and there are many, many more for you to try. You can find some more inspiration on our YouTube channel, The Flying Yogi, and you have received a copy of the Instructional Handbook for Suspension Yoga, which is full of over 50 postures for you to try. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at info@theflyingyogi.ca. Until then, happy flying.